Hello, everybody, and welcome back to On the Diamond and Into the Deep. As always, I am your host, Mahal, and today we're back with episode 61 of the podcast. Today, we're talking about a huge Mariners series win, Mariners series sweep over the Anaheim Angels the past couple days. We'll also get into Emerson Hancock, Leo Rivas, and then we'll talk about JP Crawford, Randy Arozarena's games as well. And then we'll go into JP and Randy Arozarena's season so far as a whole, one of which is very positive, one of which has been surprisingly, when I dug in, more positive than I thought it would be, just based off his most basic stats, and that guy is Randy Arozarena. However, to start, let's get into yesterday's ball game. So, let's do it. The Mariners, they take the W Tuesday night, as we talked about yesterday, and the Mariners quickly go down by a run in the top of the first inning. They then get blanked in the bottom half. They blank the Angels in the top half of the second, and then they score 2 in the second. The first with a Randy Arozarena absolute tank. If you want the stats on that, it was a solo home run off of Tyler Anderson, 106 miles an hour exit velo, 400 feet. It was off the upper deck facade next to Edgar's. I was recording yesterday when that happened, so if you want to hear my quick reaction to that, go find it pretty early in yesterday's episode, probably about 10-15 minutes into the episode. And if you haven't listened to that already, make sure you go listen. It's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. But back to today. Mariners with their 7th straight series win. And it was a big one. 2-game series are tough to get a series win out of, especially an in-division rival like the Anaheim Angels, even if they aren't necessarily the greatest team. And the Mariners had a struggling Bryce Miller and a very young and somewhat struggling Emerson Hancock on the mound for those 2 games. But their lineup backed up the starters. They scored a lot of runs, especially yesterday. And they did what they needed to do to win not only one of the games, but to win both of the games. And that makes the series a resounding success. I mean, a series split would be a success there too, but a series win, series sweep is absolutely huge. Mariners are comfortably now in first place. I believe they're 2 games up. You can take a little look-see. But yeah, 2 games up in the division on both Houston, and then 2.5 up on both the Rangers and the Athletics. And this weekend series against the Rangers is going to be absolutely massive. And if you didn't already realize that, realize it now, because a 3-game series against an interdivision rival, even if it is May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, is an absolutely huge deal. I mean, any division matchup, division series is a big deal, especially against the teams that you think are going to be with you at the top by the season's end, and those are the Rangers and the Astros. Who knows if the A's will stick around, but overall a really big road trip. You go to Texas and then you head over to Sacramento to face the A's. And the A's are a really scrappy, good ball team. So this isn't any just run over type of series or road trip at all. This is type of thing where you're going to have to work your asses off to win 2 of 3 against Texas, win 2 of 3 in Sacramento. If you can do those things, though, you win 2 out of 3 in both these series, you get to 9 straight series wins. That's a big deal. But we take it one day at a time, obviously. And we are talking about yesterday, and we're talking about off day today, where the bullpen gets another day of rest, which is a big deal. You'll have a fresh bullpen going into the road trip, going into Texas, where hopefully you won't need to use your bullpen a whole lot. And it'll mostly be Munoz, but Munoz is nice and fresh. He's pitched one day since Sunday, I believe. He pitched Tuesday. That's it. He's done. Obviously, off day Monday, off day Thursday, and then he did not pitch yesterday. So big deal there. He'll be fresh. He'll be raring to go. He had an absolutely amazing month of April, an ERA of 0, didn't give up a single run. The dude's been unbelievable since the start of this year. We'll see how long it continues. If it continues, I'm sure it'll continue to some extent. What that pace is up for determination. It's up to be seen. As is what the Mariners offense has done and what JP Crawford has done and what Leo Rivas is doing and what Emerson Hancock has done his past 2 times out. Quality starts are all you're asking for from Emerson Hancock, and that's a quality start last night. 6 innings, 9 hits, 3 earnings, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He threw 99 pitches. His arm is getting up there. He's been healthy so far this year, which is good to see. Last night, 25 called strikes plus whiffs. 8 of those were whiffs. If you want to look at the past starts he's had, I went and looked at all of them. just based off called strikes plus whiffs. Versus Boston, he had 32. 12 of those were whiffs. That was his best start of the year. You can see that called strikes plus whiffs matter because they really do kind of show success in a way. And then the rest of his starts, he faced Cincinnati and Detroit. Also, he had 16 called strikes plus whiffs against Cincinnati. That was an okay start. 6 whiffs there. And then his first start of the season, Detroit, he got a little bit lit up. 9 called strikes plus whiffs. 2 of those were whiffs. And his 4-seam produced a lot of whiffs against Boston. He used it a little bit less yesterday, but 5 whiffs on 17 swings against Boston. Last night, just 9 swings against it, 2 whiffs, and it was a lower percentage of time using it. It was about his 3rd or 4th most used pitch versus Boston. It was pretty close to tied with the sinker for 1. And his best pitch is his changeup, if you don't already know. But to see Emerson Hancock sort of settling in, he's finding himself as a starter, finding himself against opponents. He's figuring out a way to just get quality starts. And that's all you're asking for a guy that's your 6th starter that's filling in for your 1 or 2. So it is a big deal. And it's good to see. But the question is, how long will this continue? Can he build on top of these 2 starts where he's had a couple really good starts in a row? And that's a question that'll be to be seen. But I'm excited to see that. I think I'm really excited to see how Emerson Hancock continues, whether a guy like JP Crawford can continue what he's done the past couple of weeks, where he's got now his season stats up quite a bit, whether Randy Arozarena can match what his expected stats think he can be, whether Leo Rivas can continue just getting on base, making pitchers work, being a little bit pest in the side, playing solid defense at second base. These are all questions that are to be seen. And they're questions that who really thought we'd be asking at the start of the season? I mean, who thought you'd be like, Emerson Hancock, a couple quality starts in a row? Can that continue? Who thought that we'd be saying, I personally definitely didn't think this, but who thought we'd be saying JP Crawford has a 149 WRC plus on May 1st, hitting 289 with a 423 on base? And he's replicating a 2023 season 2 years ago where he was really, really good. He was about a 5-win player. And so far, he's replicating that season. He's worth already almost a win in a month. Who thought that Randy Arozarena would be a 133 WRC plus? I think that could be seen. But who thought that his expected numbers would be a whole lot better than what he's even been? And who thought that he would be a worse hitter than JP? And who thought that Jorge Polanco would be doing the stuff that he's doing? You can see the way that this team is doing things that maybe you didn't expect. And that in of itself is a big deal, and it's really good to see. Moving on from Emerson Hancock, though, Leo Rivas just talked about his day yesterday, a little bit of what I've seen from him. He went 3-4 yesterday, 3 RBIs, first at bat, 3-pitch single to left. Then he had a 2-pitch fly out to second, 3-pitch single to second, 7-pitch single, then 2 about second base. It could have been an error, but they gave him a single. That means he saw a total of 6, 7, 8, 15 pitches in his 4 at-bats, which is, again, this is something that I'm going to keep coming back to. I'm going to look at what players have done. I'm going to look at the pitches they've seen, because the guys at the bottom of the order, it's not even necessarily about whether they're producing a ton of hits, a ton of RBI, stuff like that, or walks, getting on base. That stuff all matters, of course. But if they can make the starter work and they can make them throw a lot of pitches and help get the guy out of the game early, that in of itself is a big deal. It allows the guys closer to the top of their lineup to see a pitch that they like early in at bat, to crush a pitch that they like early in at bat, and to just take swings and feel confident in what's going on behind them. So it's really good to see what Leo Rivas has done, and I hope it will continue. I think it very likely can. I don't think that that's anything out of this world, anything unexpected to think that can happen. Maybe not to the pace that he's done it the past couple of days, this series, just the past week in general. But that in of itself could happen. The Mariners are having guys that you didn't expect to produce. You're expecting them to produce. You're having guys fill in for injured players, and they're producing. And that's a really good thing. That's a big deal. That shows a sign of quality leadership on the team. That shows a sign of a good clubhouse. That shows a sign of just a good manager in Dan Wilson, especially a player manager. I think that this shows a lot of stuff. And I think that obviously winning helps with all of that. But overall, just a lot of the stuff you've seen over the past 3 weeks, past month, have been really good. Ever since really the Giants series, the Mariners have been unstoppable. They've been on an unbelievable run since Victor Robles went out. And you're inching closer to some of these guys getting back. And that's really, really good to see. Now, moving on to JP Crawford, pardon me. JP Crawford, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs yesterday. Let's just get into his season right away. JP Crawford hitting 289, 423, 378 with a 149 WRC plus, worth almost a full win already, according to Fangraphs. His walk rate has been one of the things that has been huge. And that's the guy that JP Crawford is. He's a guy that's going to walk. He's going to see pitches. He's going to get on base. And if he brings some average, some hitting alongside that, that's a big deal. He's always been a guy that can get on base, that can take his walk, but he's doing it at an even better rate this year so far. He's walking 17.7% of the time. If you want to go look at that 2023 season where he was really, really good, and he was a massive factor in the Mariners being competitive to the last day that year. His walk rate that year, 14.7. So he's up 3% from that year. In terms of strikeout percentage, it's about the same. He's striking out 19.5% of the time this year. 2023, 19.6. If you want to go look at that 2023 season, just in terms of WRC plus and F4, 4.9 Fangraphs wins above replacement. That means he was worth about 5 wins. In terms of WRC plus, which again, if you need a reminder of what that is weighted runs created plus, which means it is basically, the way I think about it, is the value of that guy as a hitter, and then it is weighted to fit league average. The plus means league average as well. It's meant to show sort of who you are as a hitter compared to the rest of the league. League average, WRC plus would be 100. So 136 WRC plus in 2023. He was 36% above league average. So far, he's been 49% above league average. So the guy's having a great season. He's got only 2 more strikeouts than walks so far this year, 22-20. He's barreling the ball up a lot, and it's even more than that 2023 season. So you could see slugging coming. And the expected stats say that in of itself. If you want to talk about barrel percentage first, his barrel percentage in 2023, 4.8%. So far this year, 7.1%. So that's up pretty significantly, in my opinion. And then if you want to look at slugging versus X slugging, he's slugging 378. So he's not getting a ton of extra base hits so far. That is lower than his on base percentage for sure. And part of that is due to the walk rate. But his X slug is 440, and you add a 440 slug to those stats, that WRC plus is going to skyrocket. F4 is going to skyrocket. Batting average is also probably going to slightly go up. You're going to see these stats all go in tandem. As soon as he starts hitting with a little bit of slug, a little bit of power, he starts getting some doubles in there, you're going to see every other number continue to skyrocket. And that's a big deal because this guy has been really good, and that's coming from a guy that is not a huge fan of JP. I love him as a player, as a guy in the clubhouse. What I don't love sometimes is what he does hitting wise. So to see him sort of breaking out of that mold where it's like a really long swing, striking out a little bit, not hitting for any power, not hitting the ball hard. Instead, he is doing that. And you want to look at split stuff? Let's talk about it. In terms of right versus left, we can look at average, we can look at WRC plus, whatever you want to look at first. We'll start with average though. Versus right-handed pitchers, he's hitting 294 versus lefties 273. So not actually a very stark difference there. A lot more at bats against right-handed pitchers, obviously, because everyone sees more right-handed pitchers in general, unless you're full platooning. And then you'd be a weak side platoon because you would be a right-handed hitter facing lefties, and there's less lefties in the league. But if you want to look at then WRC plus, and this one's a little bit less of just like, you can see it and kind of get a general idea because of the sample size difference between the two. But against right-handed pitchers, he has a 140 WRC plus, so he's 40% above league average. Versus lefties, 175 WRC plus, so really good. But again, that's a very small sample size. If you want to look at runners on base, runners in scoring position, we can look at WRC plus again. 212 WRC plus with on base, 262 with runners in scoring position. So the guy is doing damage when runners are on base. He's driving in runs, and that's what he did in 2023. And if he can continue to do that this year, that's going to be hugely, massively advantageous for the Seattle Mariners in 2025. You want to look at strikeout percentage, walk percentage with runners on, and this is part of the reason why has such a high WRC plus, why he's driving in runners, why he is a big deal in that lineup, why he started leading off again yesterday, and we'll see how long that continues. But with what he's doing now, yeah, that's your leadoff hitter, 100%. His strikeout percentage with runners on is just 11.5%. very minimal of the time. And that walk percentage is almost double. 21.2% walk rate with runners on. He's getting on base. He's making the dude, the starter, the pitcher, bullpen guy, whoever it is, making them throw pitches. He's fouling pitches off. He's putting the ball in play. And that's sort of what he's been doing really all year. He's not whiffing a lot. He's in the 85th percentile for whiff percentage at 18.1%. He's in the 96th percentile for walk percentage. He's not chasing a whole lot, 71st percentile, 23.7%. And in terms of why that power number is likely and hopefully going to go up is he's not hitting the ball weak. He's hitting the ball pretty hard, and that launch angle sweet spot is in the 87th percentile. What that means is in terms of where the launch angle is, in terms of what is going to get you the most hits, the most line drives, it is in a really good spot. It's 87th percentile, so that's 37% above league average, which is really, really, really good. And that's an important thing that I think some people are not going to think about, but he's in a good spot with line drive hitting, and that means likely that power is going to come. His expected batting average, 278. His real batting average, 289, so there is a little bit of a dip there. But again, expected number's not the craziest thing. You can see that with his slugging. X slug of 440, normal slug of 378, and you could see that balance out. You could also not see that balance out, but more likely than not, both of those will balance out with each other. And then one of the biggest things that I noticed digging into JP this year is the length of his swing. So Savant does bat tracking. Baseball Savant does bat tracking. They do multiple things. They track swing speed. They track how many swings, where you're swinging it, how your swings differ from one game to another, one at bat to another, how far apart your feet are, how far you are from the plate, how far back in the box you are, stuff like that. But another thing they do is they started measuring the length of your swing. And why this is a big deal for JP Crawford is because for the longest time, one of my biggest frustrations with him and with watching him has been his swing is really long. What that means is he has a long way to go from where he sets up his hands to the ball. It takes him a long time to get there. And what that does is that causes him problems to pull the ball. It makes it difficult to hit fastballs. It makes it so you have less time to adjust to an off-speed pitch because you have a longer amount of time to get to the ball. It was one thing he worked on at Driveline was his swing speed, and also shortening it a little bit. And he did that before the 2023 season, in which he had that breakout year. And then he's continued the past 2 off seasons at Driveline, and we didn't see a whole lot of him last year due to injury stuff. But to see his swing length shortened significantly compared to not only 2024, but huge compared to 2023, just looking at percentile wise, it means JP can hit for power. It means he can pull the ball, which is how he finds success. It means he's going to be faster to the ball. It means he's going to be able to hit fastballs, especially fastballs up and in. It means he's going to be able to adjust to off-speed pitches better. It gives him more time to react to pitches, as well as it makes it so that he's going to have an easier time producing while also seeing those pitches for longer. So if you want that statistic, 67th percentile in swing length this year, that is significantly above league average. Last year's about league average, 48th percentile. Then in 2023, it was long, 19th percentile. So that is a huge, stark difference from 2023 to 2025, just purely in swing length. Now, obviously, it is May 1st, and I don't want to necessarily say the cliche thing of it is still early, but it is still early. It is May 1st. You are just barely a month into the season. We all want to see these things happen, and it's better to see these things happen than not to happen. But the question remains, how will it continue? Will it continue? All of these different things. And that's something to remind yourself before getting yourself too amped up. But that said, you're 2 games up in first place. You are absolutely rolling. You're 8-2 in your last 10 games. Your win percentage is now at 600. You are rocking and rolling. You have the second best win percentage in baseball or in the American League right now, just behind the Tigers, who are 19-12. And you have the best record over the last 10 games in the American League, tied with the Royals at 8-2. Mariners are on a roll. It's fun to watch. It makes the team fun to watch. And part of that is due to JP Crawford. And I think that that's something that shouldn't go unnoticed. It's something that should be mentioned, even from a guy like myself, who's not the biggest fan of JP as a hitter, as a player in general. Moving on to our last subject today, Randy Arozarena. Randy Arozarena has had a mixed season. He started off pretty decently hot. He's since then cooled off, but a lot of it has been some unlucky stuff in terms of him hitting the ball hard. Yesterday, he had a solo homer off of Tyler Anderson. Obviously, in the first inning, you mentioned that early. 106.9 miles an hour off the bat, 400 feet off of the facade. It was a no-doubter immediately off the bat. You knew that shit was gone. He went 2 for 4 yesterday with that RBI from the homer. And then as we get into his season as a whole, WRC plus of 133, 33% above league average. He's been worth 7/10 of a win in terms of his /208, 359, 406. But the expected numbers jump off the page a whole lot more than that. In terms of on base, it's very similar if you want to look at that. I took weighted on base average as the one for the slash instead of on base percentage, because there isn't an expected on base percentage because it's purely just a statistic, I think. But I looked at WOBA versus xWOBA, and that is 347 WOBA jumps up about 20 to an xWOBA of 368. If you want that slash 233 expected average, that's about 20 points higher than his actual average. In terms of slug, 450 x slug. His slug right now is 406, so that's about 44 points higher to be exact. So the expected stats expect Randy to start hitting for more power and start hitting the ball better. And that adds up with a lot of the stuff you're seeing because he's pulling the ball in the air. He's hitting fastballs pretty well, yet he's only hitting 125 against them. If you want X batting average against that, 294 expected batting average against four-seam fastballs, yet he's only hitting 125. That is an area where you could see a huge jump for Randy Arozarena. You could see him start actually getting hits with those. You could see that batting average start to just go very far up. You see that would also allow the on-base percentage to go up. You would also see the slugging start to go up. So all these things, like I said, go hand in hand. It's just a matter of when will it happen, you know? And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. Continue on with him. The biggest problem has been his chase, his whiff, and his strikeouts. And those are all things that can change. And things that honestly I think will change. So the reason that I say that is Randy Arozarena historically has been pretty solid against sliders. He had a run value of 10 against them last year. This year, the run value against sliders for Randy Arozarena has been not 10. Let's just say that. It's been 1. But with that, he's whiffing 44% of the time. He's striking out 42% of the time, and it's been a 25% put away pitch for him. The expected numbers are not good against it. 134, 159, hard hit rate of just 25%. He's not doing much damage with it. He's whiffing on it a lot. He's chasing it a lot. And that sort of just feeds into what he's done as his whole season and why he's having problems. Looking at strikeout percentage, he's striking out 29% of the time. That's the 13th percentile. He's also in the 13th percentile for whiff, 32.3%. Again, like I said, expected numbers are good, but he's popping up the ball a little bit. 14.7% pop-ups. If you want to look at the past 2 years, 8.3, 8.9, and 2023 and 2024, respectively. So he's up about 6% on each of those, which is significant. That is going to cause you to get out more. And when you get out more, the rest of your numbers will diminish, and it's going to cause you some mental stuff, whatever, because baseball is such a mental game. Everything is results based in baseball, and you can't really let that happen because you are going to fail more than you are going to succeed in baseball. the thing is with Randy Arozarena is the question is whether he can balance out that launch angle. He's hitting a lot of fly balls. He's hitting the baseball to the opposite field more than he was in 2024 and specifically 2023. And we'll be looking at 2023, just like JP, a lot more for Randy Arozarena because that was his last really solid season. Again, he's not hitting four-seam fastballs, and he's striking out and whiffing a lot against sliders, and just doing that a lot in general. So the big problems for Randy Arozarena have been strikeout, whiff, chase. If he can nail down all of those numbers, he's going to find more success. He's also been a little bit unlucky. His BABIP, batting average balls in play, 270. That's the lowest of any season. If you want to look at last year, 275. If you want to look at 2023, 310. So all of these things should balance it out. He should get the ball. He should hit the ball more. That's something that's going to have to happen. But he also needs some of these hits to fall, and they'll start to fall. That's going to happen. But he also needs to hit the pitches that he can do damage with. We talked yesterday about Jorge Polanco and the damage he's done on pitches over the heart of the plate. So middle pitches. Randy Arozarena has always sort of struggled with that in his career, but this year he's struggling again. After just a month, he has a run value of -6 on those pitches. In 2024, he had a total of -14. 2023, total of -8 in 24, -14 in 2023, and in 2022 was the last season where he was not awful really against them with a -1 run value against pitches over the heart of the plate. And in my personal opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of baseball people, you should be hitting your pitch over the heart of the plate. You should be doing damage with it, which should mean the run value should naturally go up. It should be higher. I think it should be positive. And to see a -6 after a month, not great. But you can bounce back from that, and it's an easy fix to see. You see the problem. Now, can you adjust and fix the problem? There are couple problems for Randy Arozarena. He's chasing, he's whiffing, he's striking out, and he's not hitting his pitches when they are over the heart of the plate. He's not doing damage with them. If he can do damage with those, if he can stop chasing sliders away, if he can get his pitch and crush it, if he can not whiff so much, if he cannot strike out so much, you're going to see Randy Arozarena all of a sudden look like the guy that not only we thought he was getting, not only the guy we thought we were getting, but an even better version than we got last year, and a more star level Randy Arozarena. And a 133 WRC plus is not a bad season by any means. And I'm not saying he's having a bad season, but I think that he can be even better. And I think it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time till it happens. But that's all from me today. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been episode 61 of On the Diamond and Into the Deep. Again, we will be back tomorrow. It'll be Happy Friday tomorrow, which is good to see. We will preview the massive weekend series against the Texas Rangers. And a nice little off day here for the Mariners again. Good little series sweep against the Angels. Another series win. That's 7 straight again. And the Mariners are rolling, and it's fun. It's fun to watch. It's fun to be around in terms of just seeing the city react, seeing just the feeling of the team is different, and it's really good to see. So thank you guys so much for listening. Again, episode 61. Make sure you follow on all the social accounts at Diamond on Deep on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We've been posting a lot on all 3 of those recently, and that'll continue, especially for the next couple weeks. But as always, go Mariners, y'all, and peace.